Should parents argue over issues concerning the children?
Yes. I don't know if it's the word argue, but you can talk about children. Of course, that's why you have them. Parents are custodians of children.
Okay, there's this instance that happened last week. My female daughter was helping me with chores in the kitchen. And when their dad came in, was like, my friend, go and carry your book, go and carry your book.
Does she have exams?
No. They just resumed.
Even at that, it doesn't matter. Female children should work in the kitchen. That's normal. So why
But no, it doesn't want the female children to be working.
They should just be reading.
They should just be reading all through. Every time, read.
Maybe you have to tell your husband to see me, because that's bad habits. What's the definition of reading? Did he not go to school? I don't think your husband is learned. Did he go to the university?
Yes, sir.
You are very sure?
I'm very sure. No, not format.
If you have gone to the university, you know life is not about university going or reading. So I want that's strange. Children should be taught how to cook, how to clean, how to wash, you know.
No, it doesn't want them to be assisting at all.
No, not assisting. It's your duty to train them.
Yes, just to let them learn self.
Yes. No, your husband is not doing well on that arena. He has to change. Maybe he has to speak to me so that I can tell him. If assuming you were not trained, how would you have been cooking for him?
I told him, oh.
No, now that's the problem. If you tell him, he's going to say you're arrogant or
yes, he got angry and was like, you are rude. How can you be talking to me like that?
To be very frank, men are not well bred. Sometimes our parents didn't do a good job on us as men. Because the impression we have about men is you just do anything you want, even if you are wrong, and everybody should obey and abide by it, which is not the best way. I have to just not give it to the men. I understand you want to feel like the boss. I understand you want to be the head. I understand you want to take the, aim of affairs. But really, there are certain things that is not in your jurisdiction that you need to let your wife take over from, basically. And one of it is how you train the children for home chores. The children has to know home chores. I had a friend when we were in the university who was always saying, we'll take maid, we'll take this, we'll do that for this and that. But absolutely, we got older and he doesn't even have enough money to even feed his family, let alone taking maids. So life had dealt with him. But it's a wrong way to think if you think the best way to life is by you not allowing your children to do home chores, not giving them the permission to really explore in the other aspects of life. Their creativity doesn't have to be book. What's book? Read your book, read your book. What's book? We all read our books and we now have to use our creativity to make money. So it wasn't about the book. It wasn't the chemistry I read that made me money. It wasn't the physics. It wasn't the thermodynamics. And not everybody's going to be a lawyer that had to use what they read in school or had to be a medical doctor, A lot of people too are going to use their instincts. So if you do not build the instinct of your children, and now going to the future, there are no jobs, what happens? They will come back to you for you to feed them. You can't even feed yourself well now. So what's the probability in another 30 years you'll be able to feed yourself and now feed the children? 3 or 4 children? It's wrong training, I must confess. So you probably have to stand your ground on this. That's my weight. And the way you stand your ground, not to be insultive or, pressing, is for you to tell him that let's have a conversation about this. You can tell him, okay, over dinner, let's have a conversation. And then you itemize what you want to discuss. You say, this is the order of program I want to discuss with you. I have 6 points here. Say, you tell him in advance, let him prepare his own points. Our discussion is solely based on our child and the issue of this issue we're having conflict of interest on. Because they might say, no, that's how they trained in your house. You can't bring it to my house as a husband. Beautiful. But let's discuss it. The fact that your father trained you somehow doesn't mean it's the right training. That's part of it. This is how they do it in our town. Who told you how they do in your town is correct? It is how you do in our own place. Who told you? That's why I encourage families to go to the same church. So the kind of training they have is going to be similar. Not like one pastor is training you to go like this, another pastor is training you to go like this. Now, all of these options might be right and correct, but if you are doing it opposite, then you are no longer a family. That means you are going opposite of each other. That's not good enough. So that's how to discuss with your husband without necessarily cutting out as arrogant. You make it look as if you are doing a debate. Okay. You write down your own points, let him write down his own point. So you say, okay, let's start discussion. My first point is this. So no matter how angry you are in between the conversation, you must get to the 6th point that I wrote. You also must get to the own point that you wrote. If you wrote 10, we'll get to the end of the 10. If I wrote 3, I'll get to the end of my 3. And then we try and argue it out on a table. Or better still, if you want to make this look, very good, there is a game people do for fun. Do it on your own arguments. So you might probably buy suya with plenty pepper if you want to make it odd, and say, okay, every time you don't have what to say, or if I'm saying something you don't have an answer to, you are going to eat that pepper. Because a lot of people, especially women, men do it as well. They hide under the fact of, I don't want to talk about it. And you know why they say that? Once you have a good argument that wins their own position, they turn back and say, I don't want to talk about it. Okay? Talk about it. Because now when you talk about it, that's when you can see that it's my own point of view that is actually correct. And that's when we improve in this house. That's when we grow in this house. But once they know that you're, badging them to a corner, I don't want to talk about it. Women will start crying. How you doing this house? You don't bully me. It's not bullying you. You just don't want to answer the question. So you look for a way out of it. But once you're on the table and you have your point, there is no, I don't want to talk about it. It's like truth or dare. You dare not say truth and you now tell a lie. Something like that. That's how you go about this, to argue with him. Otherwise, this man will not let the house progress, and you are going to be the one to reap the evil, that seed that is sowing. Because in the nearest future, these children will go to their husband's house when your husband will not be there to follow. You are the one to go and do omugo. So you can imagine what the husband will be saying when your children that you trained cannot cook, when they cannot even make a home. Who's going to be blamed?
The mother.
The mother. Nobody's going to say this father. Even at that point, the father will say, why did you not train your children? So don't let anybody take you as an evil in the future. Look for a way to resolve it. I know the first instinct is to shout and say, no, you are wrong, blah, blah, blah. Most men will take that against you and use it against you. So use the formula of sitting on a table, writing down what you want to speak about. Everybody must answer questions, and you must do your own work. Not like he would ask you questions that you won't have answers to. That would also let him win you. So you have to also know that getting the right point to defeat his own argument or his own ideology about this is correct. A child doesn't have to be reading always before they become brilliant. The activities they mix with it actually helps them more. Singing, cooking, cleaning, and children are really fascinated by it. Some children, if you ask my daughter to go and wash, she's going to sing all through the day. She's happy because you want her to wash, because they've been looking at us wash all their lives and they've never participated in it. So once they get to a certain age, they go ahead and wash, and we put that to them. Once they are 3 years old, you can make requests in my own house to do anything. Guess what? I'll tell you the age you can do it. My children already know when they are 13, they learn how to drive. It's simple. You already know when I'm 13. So every day you're saying, oh, thank God I'm 3 years to 13. I will now learn how to drive. Everybody knows. When it's time for you to cook Indomie, we know when you are supposed to cook Indomie. When you are 6, you can start trying to cook Indomie. When you are 9, you start cooking real food. So everybody has a timing for it, and we gauge it, myself and my wife, and that helps a lot. Here is just a discussion that you have to have. It's going to be a solid discussion. It's going to be a little difficult because most men don't want to bend their rules. And it's a horrible thing that men had learned from their autocratic fathers who just make a reason, make a point, and bully the woman. Don't do that. If you're a man, try and reason. This woman that you married is also a human being. Talk to them. If you speak to them and they are not listening, that's a different ballgame entirely. But for you not to talk to a woman, you're not asking her why she's saying what she's saying, and you're not talking it through. I can ask you what you think, and you say to me, and I tell you about this is wrong, this is right, look at this, and I explain to you. If as a woman you're not understanding what I'm saying, I'm going to bully you, because at that point I see you're not reasonable. But if I'm talking to you and you're still explaining your own, and then I'm explaining my own, obviously we can go around back and forth. That's the whole essence of communication in marriages. But guess what? More than 90% of husband and wife do not have communication in marriage. They only have it in relationships. Once the relationship is over, the face of relationship is out, and they get into marriage, it becomes worse. Actually, some of them start exhibiting that rubbish in relationship. Where are you coming from? Why are you asking me where I'm coming from? That's a position of bad communication. What do you want to eat this night? I don't know. You cook anything, I will eat anything. Bad communication. Are you going to say, hey, come and carry me? Bad communication. And most people don't have it. So, but once you work on your communication and you put it across like I told you, you see that it would allow you to have your children work and learn chores, home chores, and it will be easy. As a matter of fact, the father is supposed to also join, because it's also a bad habit if a man is at home and is not joining home chores at all.
He would prefer to be watching TV.
Yeah, that's not good. I'm telling you, I'm sorry to say, your husband is not well brought up, basically.